Okay. Hey, everybody. It's April. I'm back. It's Wednesday. We're here for The Positive Effect. I'm the founder of Retail U and the author of a book called The Positive Effect. And I really believe in the power of positive leadership, particularly in retail, where I've spent like the last 30 years. And every week I bring on my awesome retail network of friends from LinkedIn onto this live show to really dig deep and talk about their retail careers. And we've had so many amazing leaders on, and it's always the conversation about positive leadership. So today we are switching it up a little bit. We've got a store leader on the phone, and so I'm super excited, Diana, that you're joining us today. So welcome.
Thank you, April. Thank you for having me on your podcast. This is amazing. You're inspiring me to be a better leader, and I enjoy watching every week. So thank you for having me.
So today, if I'm just going to set this up, so this conversation really with you is going to be around your retail career. I think it's going to inspire a lot of people today, because the one thing that I really loved about my job in retail is when I spent time in the stores with people like you, like the store managers, the assistant managers, the teams. It was the one thing where I just learned so much. Because you do the tireless work every day of like leading a team that's going to give the customers a great experience. So I want to first of all say thank you to you for doing that for all of these years before we jump into your story, because you have such an amazing impact and influence on the brands that you work for by what you contribute every day. So just thank you. So we're going to jump right into yeah. So if you're joining the chat, just put where you're coming from, say hello. We'll come back and, read the comments after, and we'll answer any questions. And also, if you see this broadcast, please share it with your LinkedIn network, because the more that we can share this conversation, the more people can learn from leaders like Diana and myself every week. So we're going to jump into your career story today. I'm so excited. So tell us your story. How did you start off in retail? Like, was it accidental? Was it intentional? Like, how did you get into the world of retail, Diana?
Well, I'm from New Jersey, and I started my retail career really early on. I was actually I was 16, started in a small retail store, and I was walking to my father's office every day. So I was like, it was a shoe store, and it was a small shoe store. And I said, you know what? Let me go in there. And that kind of set the tone. And in my 20s, I used to be shopping at Macy's, and back then it was Bambers. And I was a customer, and I said, you know what? Why not work here? And I did. I applied, and I was with Macy's for 27 years. And, time really does fly in retail. It's just, it was an amazing journey. It was a iconic brand. And, it was a pleasure to work for that company for such a long period of time.
So walk us through your career in Macy's. Like, what did you do? So you started off as what? And where did you, 29 years, that's such a long time. I've got massive respect for people that stay with a brand that long, because there must have been a reason for that.
Well, I started, like I said, in a young age, and I started as a sales associate, and within 3 months, the store manager, and I was very shy, and, to go into retail, it just kind of molds who I am today. It's complete opposite of when I started. And it was, the store manager said, you know what, body wear was big back then, with athletics. And he's like, I would really love for you to manage it. And I said, why not? And so it was amazing. I learned so much, and I managed so many different departments within Macy's. It was kind of my own store and running it. And I managed women's better sportswear, to intimate apparel, to juniors, to children's wear, men's collections where I had Polo Ralph Lauren and Tommy Hilfiger and all the, designer brands. And then I was a staffing manager, merchandising manager, signing in markdowns, assistant operations, you name it in that whole bucket. It's, and it's very versatile because I became also strong in merchandising and operational, but yet that customer experience and that customer interaction and really training and developing a team. And it's all about the recruiting and the hiring process and making sure you're getting the right fit for the job and really coaching your people and observing them and their behaviors and what are their skill sets and making sure we're placing them in the right job that suits them so they can succeed. I was a women's shoe manager for about 17 years of my career. I was the #1 shoe manager in Macy's out of 800 stores. I was, honored with the award.
Well done. That's amazing.
So that was really something that was, my dedication, my hard work, but yet the company recognized it, which was an amazing experience that I went through. It was, in front of, it was a whole celebration in front of all my peers and my mentors and my leaders and everybody in the company to honor me for my, my hard work and my dedication to the brand and, being and inspiring my employees to, see that anything's possible, anything's achievable if you just are passionate and love what you do every day. My women's shoe business was about $8 million. So I generated it. I started it out at 4 million, and it was just something, where you're passionate about driving that business day in and day out, and managing a $79 million location was, it's every day you put in your best foot forward when you walk in that door, make sure you're smiling, and leading the way, leading by example, and making sure you're really spending the time and developing your people, getting to know them and investing that time. And also my leaders in trusting me and doing the right thing to what's good for the customer and for the brand. So that was.
Oh, I can hear your passion coming through on the screen right now. It's so awesome. What an amazing journey. So,
Yes.
Retail, like you said, like retail can shape you and you can have so many great experiences. And like, there's so many experiences you have on a daily basis, right? When you're running a store like that. So
right.
what you talked a little bit about coaching and mentorship. I know I send a list of questions in advance, but I always go a bit rogue on the questions because you share things and then I'm like, I want to know more about it. So you talked about coaching and mentoring, right? So when you talked about having mentors, you just kind of talked about that a little bit. What's the best piece of advice that a mentor or a coach, somebody gave you in your retail career that we could share with our audience that would help them learn and grow?
Well, you have to have a passion for it, and you have to know your personal behaviors of what you need to improve on, and I've had leaders that said, you have to keep developing yourself and learning and growing and, knowing what your opportunities are is key. And it's important to get that feedback, because if you don't get that feedback, you're not going to learn and grow from it. But, the one advice, honestly, was, my grandmother lived to 115 years old, and she was my, yes. She was my inspiration, and I just admired her passion, and I believe I've got that, and she instilled that in me. And you have to love what you do every day. I remember one of my leaders said one time was, if you walk the same path, you're walking the same path, right? So
wow,
right. So right, exactly, right. You really take it to heart and you're like, okay, I need to change my approach, and what do I need to do different to make an impact, right? So it's either you're on the bus or you're off the bus, and you have to make that decision whether or not this is the path that you want to do for your life, because retail is most people don't realize it is a lot of work, and you have to have a passion for it. You have to have that passion, right?
It is a lot of work. You're working evenings, you're working nights, you've got early mornings, you're doing like 25 things in a day. Like people used to ask me, you know, people that were not in retail that I was having dinner with or something, I'd be like traveling and they'd ask me what I did. And I find it really hard to describe it because there's so much that goes on in a day. Like they would say, oh, you just sell stuff, right? And I'm like, whoa, no, I do way more than sell stuff. It's not just selling on the sales floor. There's so much more involved. And I think the whole people piece and the coaching piece is really underestimated of how much you need to be a really good coach in retail. Like retail is a coaching business, right? You're coaching people every day to improve on what they just did previously, kind of like a team sport.
Right, exactly. And it's important to coach in the moment and really sit down too. You know, I used to sit down with my shoe sales associates at least twice a week with them and, you know, really observe them in the moment and give them that feedback so they are aware of their behavior and, you know, really explaining the why am I doing this? It's not like, you know, I'm trying to develop and learn, you know, so you can learn from it and improve because most people are not aware of their personal behaviors because they're in the moment and they're just doing it, you know, and it could become robotic, but, you know, it's making sure that you have high standards of yourself also and leading by example and showing them how it can be done. And it's not, you know, not looking at all those obstacles and saying, no, but this and that, all the excuses, taking all the noise away and just really focusing on that specific behavior and showing them the impact of the results and, you know, getting gratitude for it and how is it affecting them and their personal behavior and their personal growth. And investing your time with them. So
if you think about what you just said, honestly, that's why I say in the book, I want to rename store managers to positive change makers, because if you think about what you just said and the impact that you can have on millions of people, right, that are just working throughout retail as a part-time gig or whatever, like young people coming in as a first job, if you're a great leader or you really take your job with as much passion as you do, Diana, then you would then develop these skills that are transferable into any business. And that's what I think is so powerful about being a store manager in retail, the impact that you can have on people.
Absolutely. And, you know, I've had so many associates that have worked for me, and I still stay connected with them through social media. And it's just a joy to see, like, at their earlier career when they started and now they're running their business, they're regional managers. And it's like, wow, I really, you know, and they text me and message me and you inspired me to be a better person and a better leader. So that's gratitude for me as well. And, you know, really rewarding to see and, you know, have that, you know, it's a great experience.
What's a pivotal moment in your career? I know that we all have them, and you've talked a lot about coaching and developing others, but what's one specific pivotal moment in your career that you can remember that you can share with us?
Well, you know, I was with Macy's, like I said, 27 years. So it was time where I said, okay, you know, like I said earlier, if you're doing the same thing, maybe you need to change it up and do something different and make, you know, grow. Because if you're doing the same thing, you're not going to be able to change and grow. I learned so much and, you know, worked for a brand for such a, you know, extensive period of time. I said, you know, and change could be, you know, uncertain. You're not sure, right? So it's kind of like, I'm going to take this challenge. Like, what's next? But, you know, taking the courage in myself to really retire from Macy's and go on and explore other adventures and see what else is out there to develop myself. And, you know, I went with Lord & Taylor and I worked for Ulta Beauty. And that was an experience in itself as well. Amazing brand, an amazing company and amazing leaders. And I learned so much about the beauty business and the, you know, the cosmetic industry and hair and makeup. And I had some knowledge of it with Macy's, but I was primarily in shoes. But to get that experience was also very gratifying. And now I'm currently at the American Dream Mall. And let me tell you, talk about the American Dream Mall. And it's kind of, ironic because my grandmother, again, had that and came to this country as an immigrant with that American dream, and to work for a brand. What an amazing 555 group working for, mega destination spot of America. It's an amazing mall. Their standards, and they treat everyone like family. It's an amazing company to work for. It's just been one ride, and going through COVID.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, what have you learned from leading in COVID? Because I haven't been in the field for a while. I do talk to a lot of field leaders, but what have you learned through leading through COVID? How has that changed the way you lead? Has it or hasn't it?
It has. Taking a step back, we went back in September, and really, learning so much, and learning all the CDC guidelines, and making sure you're effectively communicating to your team, and also the mall, to making sure they're just to standard. They partner with Hackensack Hospital to making sure that everyone's safety, the employees and the customers, are the number one priority, and really effectively communicating to the team as well when we did open. Making sure the store standards are to par as far as social distancing and health and safety of sanitizing. But it's a constant feedback, because sometimes people get comfortable, and it's important to remind them, we do have to, even we're such people that are passionate and want to say hello and, shake hands, and learning that to, take a step back and be like, okay, I can't shake a hand, I can't give a hug. So it's getting acclimated to all of that. And, and of course, our number one focus is the health and safety of our customers and our employees. And I think we've done a fabulous job in making sure we're there.
Yeah.
People are, getting more comfortable. We just recently opened with everybody vaccinated, doesn't have their mask. People are still coming in saying, oh my God, it's the first time I've been in the mall. So it's just getting them excited, welcoming them back, because it has been some journey that we have all, have taken on. So it's
good for you.
Very unprecedented.
Yeah, it really is. Like, sometimes you think you've seen it all, right? Until something happens like this operationally last year. So how do you, Diana, you've got bubbly personality. You can already feel that through the screen. And that really does have an impact, right, on your team and how people show up in the stores. I truly believe that the store manager of that store really creates that environment and that feeling that people want to be there. So how do you stay motivated? How do you stay positive? Like, how do you overcome all of these hurdles, because you're facing a lot of challenges every day. So how do you stay positive?
Well, I'm naturally, a positive person, and I have this personality. When you work in retail so many years, whatever is happening in the world, when you step into those doors, you have to, put your best foot forward, because that customer, that sales associate feels it, and your personal behavior will affect your results. Because if you don't come in every day with a smile on your face and a positive attitude to motivate them, they're going to react the same way. And, and if the customer feels it, if you're going into a store and nobody greets you or says hello to you, you're just going to walk out, and you want to make them feel better for coming, and changing their experience and getting to know them, because they're shopping there for, whether it's a special occasion or a wedding or whatever, a graduation, and you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, because it matters to them, and you want that customer to come back to you. And I have so many customers that come in and ask by name, and say, oh, is she here today? I want to see her and tell me about the event. And making that friendship with that customer is what really counts. And, oh, here's my number. When that product comes in, give me a call. And sharing your experience with them is amazing. And I enjoy what I do every day. And I enjoy meeting new people and interacting with them on a daily basis. That's, drives me every day.
Yeah, and you can totally hear it and feel it from you, by the way. It's like, so it's really interesting because there's been such a shift in retail like over the years, but fundamentally at the end of the day, it is just about giving the customer a great experience and having people that want to engage and build those relationships, right? And when you say when you went back and you were kind of quiet, how do you bring somebody out of their shell? Let's say you have somebody on your team and like they're really quiet and they're reserved. Like, how do you get them out of their shell to like go and connect with customers?
Well, it's really, coaching one-on-one and really role-playing them on a daily basis to get them to that comfort level and finding out, what's holding them back and really asking them questions and learning about them and making them comfortable to open up to you and being vulnerable and saying, okay, and the more questions you ask, you find out the root cause of the problem so you can course correct it. And, really, again, following up with them and holding them accountable and saying, this is what we're here for. It's not like, you should be comfortable in it. If the more comfortable you are talking to me, you're going to be more comfortable talking to the customer. So it's that constant feedback, right? And that role playing with them to get them to the skill set. Because most of the time, if people are shy or not confident, it's because they're not having the product knowledge that they need and really educating them on that product knowledge so this way they can relate to that customer and coaching them how to approach by asking open-ended questions opposed to, hi, can I help you? It's really interacting and showing them the different ways of interacting with a customer to, hi, can I help you? And, it's making that genuine connection as like you were, and I use an example. If I was your friend, how would you approach me?
Yeah, that's a good one. So when you talk about that's brilliant. I mean, yeah, how would you approach somebody in your family and somebody in friendship? Right. So when I know that we do a lot of coaching at Retail U with leaders that struggle with holding people accountable. Like it's one of those things that people just get really like hair on the back of the neck and they get uncomfortable and they don't know how to hold somebody accountable. So what's your advice to a leader that struggles with holding their team accountable?
Well, it's important to set goals for your team and really holding yourself accountable first. That's where it starts. And you have to give them, specific direction. This way you can follow up with them and give them, the ability to have that trust in you. And then you say, okay, this is our job. This is what we need to get accomplished, and not be intimidated by giving that feedback, because most leaders do feel like, how will they react or what, it's tailoring your approach to every single associate, because not everyone is the same. So, you may have some that are more vulnerable. So you have to coach in a different way. So you have to tailor your approach to every single person based on their personalities as well. And that's important. But accountability is something that I believe in, because you can't drive results if you don't hold people accountable. And it starts with yourself, right?
100%. Like I do. I write in the book a chapter. It's called Accountability, and it's just account plus ability equals accountability, because you're just accounting for the ability in the moment of the completion of whatever you've asked somebody to do. So it shouldn't really be that scary. It shouldn't be this, oh no, I'm really nervous about having this conversation. It should really just be, I'm going to set some clear expectations, like you said, and then walk through and follow up. And I think if you're struggling with accountability, my advice is always go back and ask yourself, were you really clear with what you wanted somebody to achieve. Because if you weren't, you're going to feel bad about following up on them because you weren't really clear in the beginning, right? Because there should be no, so I always call them surprise gotcha conversations. Like there shouldn't be those kind of, nobody should be caught off guard, right? When they're having an accountability conversation, they should know because you were clear in the beginning. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, 100%. Because, if you're not clear and giving specific directions, and how can you hold somebody accountable, whether it's their attendance and tracking it and being fair and consistent with everyone is important as well. Making sure, I had a women's shoe department, so accountability was key. Making sure signing areas of pride, this way you're fair and consistent and constantly walking it every day to make sure those standards are being maintained. And then asking why wasn't it? It was a clear direction. This is the standards. And, and they respect that, because you're being fair and consistent with everyone. It's not just one person.
Fair and consistency. That's what I always say. I love that. You just said assign an area of pride. Did you just say that?
Right. Yes, I did.
Assign an area of pride. I've never heard that before. Explain that.
No. Well, I had a large team. It was back of house and front of house. So everybody had their own sections that they were responsible for in all of my departments that I managed. And they had a specific vendors that they had to maintain the standards, making sure the floor was filled in, the maintenance, the Windexing the tables, the back of house, maintaining and organizing, sizing. So everybody had their sections and they knew exactly specifically what they were responsible for. This way, the accountability, there's no gray area. This is your area, this is the standard, and I'm going to walk it every single day to make sure that that is filled in, maintained, and cleaned, whatever the task may be, but it's important.
But I love that. Like, I love that terminology, assigning your area of pride. I'm just thinking about Ron Thurston right now with his book called Retail Pride, right? Like, he is an advocate for being a proud, retail leader and having pride in what we do. So I'm gonna like text him after this and tell him you gotta start using this. This is like awesome. I love that. So you've had an amazing long career. If somebody is thinking about growing, let's say there's somebody that's working in retail right now and they started off, it was unintentional or whatever, it was a part-time job, and they're thinking about, is this for them? And you've had a long career leading. What advice would you give to them?
Well, you have to be passionate in what you do, and you have to love what you do, because you're going to be going in there every single day with your best foot forward. And there are sacrifices, work-life balance, in retail is challenging. And, you have to sometimes make those sacrifices to be successful and to find that balance. But you have to enjoy and love what you do every day and have that passion for it. And that's my advice. Anything's possible, anything's achievable. You just have to have that mindset and that passion for it. And if you, sometimes people struggle with their opportunities, and if they don't know, they don't ask. It's important to ask those questions because that's how you're going to grow. Show me how to do it. If you don't know something, don't stay quiet. You really have to be transparent, because that's the only way you're going to succeed. But like Macy said, the magic of Macy's, it's literally true. Believe, you can believe. It's true. If you believe, you can achieve anything.
It's so true. Like it's a lot of mindset, right? What you think about comes about. I'm a big advocate for that, because I'm all about positivity. And it doesn't mean to say that I'm not having a bad day or I don't have challenges. It's just how I choose to think about those challenges, right? As opposed to thinking I can't, it's a thinking like what I can do. But I say as well that you have to love people if you're going to work in retail. If you get frustrated by people, it's probably not the right career for you. right?
Correct. You have to enjoy interacting with people, because that's what it's all about, I was, a staffing manager, and I did that for a year, and I said, this is not for me. I can't be behind a desk. I'm a people person. I need to be interacting with the customers. I can't be in an office. It's not who I am. So you do have to definitely enjoy working with people, for sure.
100%.
And it's not for everybody. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
not for everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Diana, it's already half an hour. Like, the time just goes like this on this show. But it was such a pleasure having your energy on our show, and just having somebody that's working in the field with customers and with staff every day, and hearing your positive attitude towards retail, and that you've been in it for so long. Because I always say my favorite job was when I was running a store. Like, if I think about all the jobs I had, I mean, I grew because I wanted to help more people in the stores. And that was what we're doing now with Retail U. But it was always my favorite job was when I actually worked in a store and ran one. So you do an amazing job every day. And I just want to recognize you for that, because you do the hard work every day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's amazing, and I love what you do. And like I said, you're inspiring myself and so many others. And thank you.
So, if there's anything that you think that for the future of retail, you've been in it a long time. You've been working with customers on the floor. I always like to ask this question. What do you think it's going to take to be a successful leader in retail in the next 10 years? Because things are changing a little bit, right?
Right. Evolving, and really, looking at different aspects of it through omni-channel, and, buy online, pick up in store, and that's growing, and getting that customer into the store as well, because that experience is, gratifying, when you're going into a retail store, and it's a different experience than you're shopping in a computer in your home. You want to have that interaction with the sales associate, because most customers don't know what they're looking for, but by connecting with them and engaging with them, it really gets that customer back in the store, even if they're buying it online, coming in, having that interaction with you, whether you know how the product fits and the sizing, it's different. So, I know online is especially through COVID has skyrocketed, but, I think customers are eager to get back into the stores. And I think, that will definitely come back for retailers for sure, because people enjoy that interaction and want to know what's the latest fashions, taking a look at it, different aspects of it. So, yeah.
I agree. I think now as well that we need to start looking at like sales goals and targets, and looking at like how the whole ecosystem works together versus just a store with the sales goal. It should be like every part of the experience is a whole map for a whole customer experience. And I think we need to start thinking differently about that, and not just thinking about the day that we're in and the results that we need to drive today. I think we need to start thinking more holistically. So I'm looking forward to seeing some retailers do some creative things on that, like sales bonuses, targets, things like that. What does that actually look like? Because I do think that kind of needs to get updated a little bit. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway,
we're working on different, approaches on how to handle things going in the future.
Yeah.
But more to come. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're going to start wrapping up this episode for today. So thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure having you on. Your energy is contagious. You're definitely having a positive effect on the people and the business that you lead. And if anybody finds this in the feed, please go ahead and share it. Share it with your retail network so that more people can find this conversation on a weekly basis. So with that, we're going to wrap up and say bye for now, and we'll see you next week. And thank you, Diana, so much for being on today.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.
You too.
Bye.